What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this morning is truly a crazy time to be alive, especially if you are a SEGA fanboy, because we just got news that apparently, as of a couple of years ago, SEGA was secretly working on a full-blown Shenmue remake. We're not talking about a re-release, we're actually discussing something totally different, which is a full remaster that included new character models, new graphics engines, and a lighting system that makes my jaw drop. It's so gorgeous. I mean, just look at a random screenshot. The level of detail in this project was going to be staggering. You could tell that they were actually going in and instead of just trying to freshen up the original assets, they were completely remaking them brick by brick, despite the fact that obviously that must have been extremely expensive. It seems like this project was pretty far along because there are a lot of clips and footage that are now circulating around. Now, I want to give a giant shout out to Digital Foundry because they're actually the ones who got to leak this. One of the people who worked on it secretly reached out to them and said, "Hey guys, this thing was so fun to work on, but unfortunately SEGA pulled the plug." We don't know exactly why, but the main theory behind it is that they were probably using up a ton of cash working on this. Now, obviously we got something that's a little bit different, which is the Shenmue re-release. This is Shenmue 1 and 2 on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and it's really good. I mean, as somebody who's already in love with Shenmue, it functions great. I actually got the Platinum Trophy in this game because both of them are so fantastic. I earned every single trophy because it's still such a fun, gleeful experience. I am a little bit biased. I mean, let's be honest, I own every single version of Shenmue 1 and 2 on every single console. I even own the really weird Shenmue demo disc that only came out in Japan, where you actually rescue the president of SEGA from a bunch of thugs. Shenmue is a very rare and very special game to a lot of people, so I can see that originally, clearly SEGA wanted to try and do this right, and spend the cash needed to do a full-blown remake. Now, something that's really interesting about this entire thing is the fact that it sort of confirms a very old urban legend that's been circulating for about 10 years. So, in the late 2000s, and sort of I think around 2011, there was a guy who came forward and started doing interviews with different magazines, claiming that he worked on some form of a Shenmue remake back then. Now, what was really interesting about his story was the fact that he talked about this was being majorly funded by Microsoft, where apparently Microsoft approached SEGA and started working on this to be an Xbox 360 exclusive. It was supposed to have new assets, a new graphics engine, and of course, a lot of different achievements. Something that would be done as cheaply as possible and make extra profit, and hopefully eventually lead to a Shenmue 3. Now, that project also fell through, but what's really cool to me is the fact that this person, in a lot of his interviews, talked about the fact that they were nearly complete. He says the project was about 90% finished. So it really makes me think that perhaps what originally happened was the fact that SEGA could have already had this version sitting around, this mostly complete full remake, and they handed it off to this new development team. You see, the thing is, this game right here, the re-release, was handled by a relatively small team that was able to turn it around relatively quick. A lot of sources are actually saying that this was done since May 2017. So really, they kind of just knocked this thing out of the park in about a year. But originally, they were working on something else, which is this full-blown remake, which really makes me kind of assume the fact that they were given all the assets that involved Shenmue. Everything. These guys were probably given as much code, programming, and games they had, that way they'd be able to make this run on current systems as smoothly as it possibly could. So I'm betting that originally they weren't given Shenmue, they were given the Shenmue HD Remake. The revised games with updated visuals and unfortunately, they couldn't make it work. You see, in this demo that was shown off by Digital Foundry, you can see that it's still definitely an early version of the game. There's a lot of visual glitches, like computer screens glitching out, and the fact that a lot of characters actually have this circle of programming around their head that looks like a little halo. And if you look at it, clearly it says what they're doing at the time, which makes me think that this is definitely a debug mode. A lot of games, right up until they're finished, have a special way where you can like disengage the camera and just fly around, and this is to make sure everything looks correctly and you can just test different stuff. A lot of times you'll end up seeing little bits about how the game functions just being shown off visually. A good example of this is, back in the day I found a way to break into the debug mode of Final Fantasy VII, and when you go into the debug mode, it's every single character in the game just standing in a dark room, and you can actually walk up to them and talk to them to teleport to the different chapters of the game. And this is so, essentially, if you're trying to playtest the game, you're not having to go through this 100-hour experience over and over again. Times like this are why I'm so excited about modern gaming, which is the fact that I feel like now we're really getting a chance to talk to developers themselves. I know I've seen some people sometimes say, like, why are we getting so many leaks lately? And how is it possible that so much stuff just seems to somehow slip out? And it's because I think in the age of social media, people are able to finally talk for the first time very directly about games that are incomplete, unfinished, or so awesome that they just never come out. This game looks like it could have been incredible, and I think that now that it's out there, perhaps Sega will actually officially talk about it. You know, I know that a ton of Sega people actually watch my videos, so I just want to implore to you guys. I'm sure you guys don't actually want to go and finish this project because it is going to cost a tremendous amount of money, but instead of really finishing it, perhaps can I give you a second option? Maybe instead of trying to rebuild this team and compile all that data, just give us a trailer. Maybe just do something along the lines of the Shenmue post-mortem that Yu Suzuki did, where instead of actually going through and spending all that money to finish it, maybe just give us a long last look at what it would have been. At this point, Shenmue fans like myself are just thrilled about the fact that we got the Shenmue 1 and 2 re-release. At this point, I am just so freaking... I want to like cry. I'm so thrilled about the fact that we're about to get Shenmue 3. So we're not going to just beg you and beg you and beg you for a Shenmue remake. But still, it's awesome that it exists. Just give us a deep dive look at what you were trying to do, what the original vision was, and how great it could have been. Even if this never comes out, it's still such a remarkable look at what could have been. As a Shenmue fan, I am happy. This is such a fantastic time to be alive, and if you told me in 2018 that we would be seeing so much of Shenmue as a kid, I just never would have believed you. It's a great time to be alive. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Hey, I actually encourage you guys, I did a real brief overview of what Digital Foundry did. I actually encourage you, they did a 12-minute video. I'm going to link it in the comments down below because it's remarkable. They very much highlight the technical aspects of what this game appears to be doing, and even though it's a canceled remake, it's actually quite impressive. Man. Woo! Alright, I'm going to go find some sailors. Oh, hey. I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.